7 WTN. Good morning. Hope you are having a fantastic Wednesday. It's Wednesday already. I love it.
Hump day?
We're not going to do that.
I know you hate that.
We're not doing that. I was going to say something along the lines of, must be how Mac feels every week, but you threw me off. You threw me way off.
I annoyed you before you could do it.
Dang it. All right, we do have some breaking news.
You're right. I'm so sorry. Here we go.
Yeah, I told you to get that ready.
This is a breaking news update on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Mac and I figured out our secret handshake. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah, that's
there
it.
we go.
It's not
That's the
perfect.
breaking news.
It's not perfect yet, but we have the formatics down.
Yeah, we got to refine it a little bit, but I think it's there.
We're working on speed. That's where we're at now.
Speed, efficiency.
Yeah.
But the building blocks have been set, and the debut will be soon.
It's going to be dope. It's going to be super dope, guys.
Super dope.
I just wanted to let you all know. So
super dope.
That's pretty much the show for the day.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Just run the best of, because I don't have anything else prepared.
All the prep was just us late at night, just handshake.
Literally all night. We're like, no, we can't do that here. We have to do a snap. Should we do a snap or a high five? That's what we did last night. You guys think we're joking. It was quite a bit of prep. It's not finished yet. It's a work
my
in
hand's
progress.
sore.
It's a work in progress. All right. Just wanted to keep you guys updated on the secret handshake. So
It's important.
very exciting news. Very exciting news. Also, exciting news. Is anything going to come of this? James Comer subpoenaing the DHS Secret Service over the tip-off of the thwarted Hunter Biden interview. Breitbart News reporting this. Everybody's been talking about this. The House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer issued 6 subpoenas on Tuesday to the Department of Homeland Security and the Secret Service after the DHS blocked the Secret Service from conveying information to House investigators regarding the Biden administration's cover-up of the Hunter Biden tax probe. Fox News broke in yesterday with actual breaking news, not secret handshake breaking news, but actual breaking news. Trey Gallagher was on the scene. He had this to say.
The chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, has subpoenaed the DHS Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, and several other DHS and Secret Service officials wanting testimony related to the Secret Service's alleged tip-off of the Biden transition team regarding a planned Hunter Biden tax probe interview back in 2020, also accusing the agencies of obstruction of the congressional investigation. 6 subpoenas in total were sent out, 1 directed to Mayorkas for documents and 5 for depositions, 2 to Secret Service officials and 3 to DHS officials. Comer told Fox News Digital, quote, the Department of Justice initiated the Biden family cover-up, and now DHS, under the leadership of Secretary Mayorkas, is complicit in it. He went on to say investigators were never able to interview Hunter Biden during the criminal investigation because Secret Service headquarters and the Biden transition team were tipped off about the planned interview.
So, I mean, this is exciting. We do have subpoenas. It's good to see the House Oversight Committee is continuing pushing on this, even though there was, the whole special prosecutor, special counsel set up, cover up set up by Merrick Garland. But, the House Oversight, they're not backing down. James Comer continuing with the subpoenas. This is exciting news. Is anything going to come of it? I don't know, man. I don't know. Again, I don't want to be black-pilled, but it seems like anything regarding the Bidens and the crime family really amounts to nothing. But we'll see what happens. One of the things that they're saying is that, the whistleblowers weren't allowed to follow the evidence that would lead to Biden. They were blocked from looking at the location data from the laptop, and that could have proved that Hunter was next to Joe when they demanded money from the Chinese official that they were later paid. Now, Ron Johnson was on Newsmax, and he was asked if these Secret Service subpoenas will help them determine whether or not Joe and Hunter were together when Hunter demanded that money, because as you know, metadata, location data, all of that is going to be right there. And then with the Secret Service, they have, logs to who was with Joe Biden at the time. So Ron Johnson was asked about that on Newsmax, whether that could help them prove that.
You should be able to determine that. The Secret Service certainly has those records. They ought to be able to tell that. They should have told that years ago, probably, when we were probably asking the same types of questions in terms of records tying Hunter Biden to Joe Biden. So as troubling as the Hunter Biden and the Biden family corruption is, there are three scandals here. It's the Biden crime family scandal. Then you have the scandals of the corruption within federal law enforcement. And then, of course, as you were pointing out earlier, the corruption and complicity of the mainstream media. And that may be the most serious. We wouldn't have the double standard of justice. We wouldn't have the dual system of justice if we had a unbiased media that's holding both sides accountable, that would be pointing out the injustice. But we don't. We have a mainstream media that's by and large populated by leftists. They're advocates for the left. We want a free press that holds both sides equally accountable. That's not what we have today.
It's not what we have. And I think it's important to point out, Ron Johnson highlighted the three scandals perfectly. You have the Biden crime family, which is a scandal in and of itself. You have federal law enforcement corruption, which we can all see with our own eyes. And then the media. I mean, the media has been interfering in these elections through the cover-ups nonstop. They're currently interfering in 24 by, shutting down these investigations, covering up these investigations, and trying to just sweep them under the rug. And then, the media also interfered in the 2020 election as well. I mean, the fact that they're subpoenaing the laptop data when 51 intelligence agents said that it was Russian disinformation, that was election interference at its finest. Quite a few people said that they would have voted differently had they known that the laptop from hell was real, and they shut that down. We're also seeing James Comer issuing a demand letter today to the National Archives for a tranche of underrated records related to the office of the vice president that would confirm him colluding with Hunter Biden's associates. James Comer said to Breitbart News in a statement, Joe Biden Joe Biden never built an absolute wall between his family's business dealings and his official government work. His office doors were wide open to Hunter Biden's associates, as we all know. That it's been proven time and time again. Whether you want to look at Devin Archer, whether you want to look at the emails, whether you want to look at the bank records. But Comer is now demanding these records, and he sent a letter to the National Archive people, and he's demanding that they provide one, unredacted versions of all documents from records on Hunter Biden, James Biden, and their foreign dealings. Two, he's demanding documents to or from the executive office of the president regarding Eric Schwerin, Devin Archer, Vuk Jeremic, Rob Walker, or Jeffrey Cooper. He's demanding documents to or from Kate Bedingfield, Michael Carpenter, Kathy Chung, Amos Hochstein, Colin Cowell, and Alexander Markler regarding Hunter Biden or James Biden. And he's also demanding executive calendars created for then Vice President Joe Biden, dating from January 20th, 2009 to January 20th, 2017. This is all exciting things. Will anything come of it? We'll have to wait and see. I don't have a lot of hope. I don't. I want something to come of this. I hope something comes of this. But what happens if, these subpoenas are defied? If people ignore the subpoenas? Probably nothing. I doubt that they'll get the Steve Bannon treatment and be held in contempt or anything like that because that doesn't happen to Democrats. That only happens to our side. But the Biden family corruption, man, it's on full display. They're going after them. And shout out to James Comer. I really do like James Comer. I really like his persistence because, lesser Republicans would have given up by now. And with everything on the line, James Comer keeps going for it. So I'm impressed. What do you think? 615-737-9986 is the number to text in, or you can call in. Do you think anything is going to come of this? 4165 said, if Mayorkas defies the subpoenas, what is the difference? Oh, yeah, I just said this. What is the difference between Steve Bannon getting charged for not appearing? I don't know if they're going to hold them to the same level of accountability as they held Steve Bannon because, orange man bad and, blue side good, right? I think that's what it boils down to quite a bit. 8602 texted in and said, can the National Archives destroy these documents? I wouldn't put it past them. I don't know if they can destroy the documents. I think that would be a crime. I'm not exactly sure on the on the actual statutes on that. But when you defy subpoenas, that is a crime. But it didn't stop Hillary Clinton, right? So, and she was never held accountable when those emails were destroyed, when the cell phones were destroyed. And I believe quite a few of those were subpoenaed as well. Lots of stuff coming out on the Biden crime family. Will anything come of it? What do you think? 615-737-9986. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that any of this is going to come of this. So just to recap, James Comer is subpoenaing the DHS, the Secret Service, over the tip-off of thwarted Hunter Biden interview. Crazy stuff. So just to remind you of what happened, it was former FBI agent confirming that both he and IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley in early December 2019 were told not to approach Hunter Biden and instead wait for Hunter Biden to call for the interview. But instead of receiving the call, they were contacted by Biden's attorney and never granted an interview because they were tipped off, allegedly, by the Secret Service. And they're saying that the Department of Justice initiated the Biden family cover-up, and now DHS, under the leadership of Secretary Mayorkas, is complicit in it. That was what Comer said in a statement. He said investigators were able to interview Hunter Biden during the criminal investigation, were never able to interview Hunter Biden during the investigation because Secret Service headquarters and the Biden transition team were tipped off about that planned interview. So they're going after them. They say that Comer said that the Department of Homeland Security is obstructing the investigation by muzzling Secret Service from providing a response to Congress. He added, the American people deserve transparency, not obstruction. I agree with that. However, I'm not sure that we're going to get anything but more obstruction.
Yeah, 3704 says, nothing's going to happen, maybe persistent, but let's see the evidence. There never is any.
Well, I mean, there's definitely evidence. It's just whether or not they want to acknowledge the evidence. I mean, we can point to so much evidence. You know, like they said, they want to get the laptop and they want to get the Secret Service visitor logs because that will either have the location data on the laptop and it can then be cross-referenced with those visitor logs to prove that they were together at the same time, Hunter and Joe, when they demanded money from those Chinese officials. When he said, you know, what was the exact wording? Like, the guy's standing right next to me, or my father, you don't want to cross him, something along those lines. They were in the room together. That's what Hunter inferred on the phone call. If you have the laptop location data and you have the Secret Service visitor logs, you can prove that they were in the room together and that it wasn't just selling the appearance of influence, right? The illusion. That's what they're, it was just the illusion of influence peddling is what he was selling. But, I mean, I look at the super text line, and it seems like quite a few people just don't believe anything's going to come of it. And you know, I tend to agree. Our friend Ham texted and he said, I don't believe anything will come of it. With hundreds of billions of dollars worth of corruption that goes as deep as judges, I don't think it can be fixed. 29-23. So the question is, when does another Trump indictment come down? Oh, geez, probably tomorrow. this time tomorrow, 29-23. This time tomorrow. JB texted, he said, much to do about nothing. It's all moot. John texted in and said, Chris, nothing will happen. Are we so blind, ignorant to not realize how deep the deep state is? I don't think I'm blind or ignorant. I don't know. Like, I could go full black pill and be like, nothing's ever going to happen. But is James Comer demanding these records a happening in and of itself? Is him subpoenaing these records a happening alone, you know, a standalone happening? It sure seems like it. Comer's persistent. Comer wants an impeachment inquiry. Comer wants impeachment. I want impeachment. You want impeachment. Are we ever going to get it? Probably not. Probably not. So, you know, all that news and nothing to show for it, right?
Are we ever going to get it?
I don't know.
Probably not. But we can still have fun. We can still have fun while we don't get what we want. All right, it is 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Follow me off the air. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Truth Social, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. And make sure you join in on the show. I got Mac producing, Ken Weaver in the newsroom, but you are the most important member of our crew. Whether you're on the super text line or on the phone lines, the number is the same, 615-737-9986. Hit us up. Be a part of the show. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Paul Winkler Inc. I got 4 kids. Me and my wife, we have to have a financial plan for the future because the future's uncertain. So with 4 kids, I'm thinking about possibly paying for college, hopefully paying for some weddings, and none of those goals are going to be achievable without a financial plan. And I've been a listener of Paul's radio show since I moved to Nashville quite a few years ago, like 8 years ago now. So after getting to meet with him and realizing he's the same guy I heard on the air, smart, honest, and legit, I was all in. And Paul and his team hold themselves to a higher level of fiduciary standard than is required. Because of that, government regulators do what government regulators do, and I'm required to tell you that I'm paid every time this commercial airs. But it's because I got to sit down with Paul, break bread, have my questions answered, that I decided to become a client myself. I'm impressed with Paul's team and his knowledge. Paul's a smart guy. He knows the financial world way better than I do. And with Paul and his team, I say this a lot, nothing is done on commission. It's so important to me because I know that they're helping me make the right decisions for my family, not helping me make the right decisions for their family. That's huge. Huge. He's made my financial goals far more realistic by explaining what to do and why. The investment education is evidence-based and backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. So do what I did. Check them out. Every office run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience. You can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest. So do what I did. Talk to one of his team members. Set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or call 615-851-1950.
All right, still got that problem. The East Loop downtown, that is the 40 eastbound. That is the exit to Donaldson Pike, where apparently a man was run over by a truck. This one is actually the East Loop downtown, Briley Parkway eastbound at the Cumberland River. You've got the left lane blocked. And then 40 westbound at Old Hickory Boulevard, left 2 lanes blocked due to a crash there in Hermitage. And look for Secretary of State Antony Blinken in the headlines today, making a surprise visit to Ukraine. We'll tell you what he's telling Ukraine the U.S. is willing to do more of, coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. And I hope the man that was run over by a truck has a Jack Smith-like recovery. Runs a triathlon in 10 weeks. Speaking of Jack Smith, somebody joked and said, a Trump indictment must be coming. Well, another leak. This is from the Gateway Pundit. Now, the Gateway Pundit, some people like it as a source. Some people kind of feel like, it's iffy. But this one, I buy it. I don't know. It wouldn't shock me. So they're reporting another leak. Jack Smith to indict Trump again. Special counsel investigates fundraising, breach of voting machines. So apparently, Special Counsel Jack Smith is gearing up to indict President Trump out of D.C. again, according to a new report by CNN. Jack Smith has expanded his investigation efforts into Trump's effort to challenge the 2020 election and is focusing on Trump's fundraising efforts. So, yeah, interesting stuff. CNN is where this actually came from the Gateway Pundit. I had the Gateway Pundit link. CNN says Special Counsel Jack Smith is pursuing his investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election a month after indicting Trump for orchestrating a broad conspiracy to remain in power, a widening of the probe that raises the possibility others could still face legal peril. So questions are asked of 2 recent witnesses indicate Smith is focusing on how money was raised off baseless claims of voter fraud and was used to fund attempts to breach voting equipment in several states won by Joe Biden, according to multiple sources familiar with ongoing investigation. That's when CNN jumps the shark. If you ever want to know if something's fake news, one of my things I do is I usually go to 3 or 4 paragraphs into the article and then go, okay, who said it? And usually it says, according to multiple sources familiar with the ongoing investigation. All right. So maybe he's going to indict Trump again. That wouldn't shock me. But when I see multiple sources familiar with the ongoing investigation, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. If I told you sources close to the White House say that Joe Biden fell asleep, well, I mean, a source close to the White House could be a homeless guy sleeping on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, right out front. He's close to the White House. He was their source. So I don't know. Unnamed sources give me pause. That's all I'm saying. 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Yeah, traffic is still a mess. A lot of it might have to do to the heavy rain that has moved through. Police are investigating a man getting run over by a semi on Donaldson Pike from I-40 eastbound. That exit ramp is closed. We got Briley Parkway eastbound at the Cumberland River. Left lane blocked due to a crash. Then in the North Gulch, the second right lane is blocked, 40 eastbound, right before Charlotte Avenue. Crash, left 2 lanes blocked, 40 westbound at Old Hickory Boulevard, and a crash left shoulder blocked, 24 westbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. Right now in Ukraine, Secretary of State Antony Blinken's pledging more U.S. aid to help kick out Russia and rebuild, saying the security of the rest of the world is at stake.
The principles of territorial integrity, independence, sovereignty, all of those, as you know very well, are at stake right here in Ukraine. And what happens here has profound repercussions, quite literally, around the world.
Yeah, Blinken is expected to pledge another $1 billion worth of aid to Ukraine in its fight against Russia. Meanwhile, President Zelensky today says a Russian missile killed 16 people, including children at a market in Donetsk. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, I'm Paul Winkler. One of the biggest decisions people have to make in retirement is how to take Social Security. You'll get all kinds of workshops about that, and you'll see all kinds of things about that particular topic. Because Social Security, for some people, it might be a third or even more of their income in retirement. So you want to get this decision right. Well, how do you make the decision? Well, one of the things we look at, there are programs we use. This is one of the simpler programs that we use right here. And I want to just show you how it works and how it actually unravels some of the misconceptions we have about Social Security. So we have two people here, they're age 60, and they're looking at filing for Social Security. One person has a retirement benefit of $2,500. That is their main benefit from Social Security at their full retirement age. The other one has a $500 benefit. And what we can do here, which is kind of cool, is look at this and say, okay, well, what if we have this person has that life expectancy and that person has that life expectancy there? And then what we do is we assume a certain cost of living increase in Social Security. What would be the optimal for taking the benefit where they get the most benefit or the most bang from their buck? And where we see the star, that shows that we would have the best benefit. Now, this is one person filing at age 67, the other person at age 70. Well, a lot of people think, well, I retire, I have to take Social Security at the same time that I retire, and that's not necessarily the case. As you can see here, one may take it at one age and one may take it at another, even though they're the same age right now. Now, the other thing we can do is say, well, what if I took it early? What if I took it at this particular age right here, where one person's 65 and the other one's 65? You can actually see how much it could cost in benefits. When we do this, we can see how much it might cost us and how much it might affect us negatively to do that. Now, the other thing we can do is we can play around the life expectancies, and we say, well, if this person lives to that age, now the cost is $187,000 in this particular example, taking it at that age right there. So you can see, based on your own life expectancy, and typically people will say, well, what did my parents live to, and come up with that type of data. So this is just part of the financial planning process that we use at Paul Winkler Inc. If you want to know more about what we do, you can get a free 15-minute phone call at our website, paulwinkler.com. We do financial planning, full financial planning. We do investing, education, and investing. We actually help people through those decisions, helping them set up their 401ks and those types of decisions, as well as risk management. But we don't get paid on commission. That's what makes us so different from other firms out there that do what we do. So if you want to find out more, go to paulwinkler.com.
9:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Happy Wednesday. It's Chris Hand. Super text earlier said, "Oh, it's Max Friday Eve." I know Joe Biden's looking forward to the weekend. Dr. Jill tested positive for COVID, so she's at home resting. And then Karine Jean-Pierre took the time yesterday to let everybody know Joe Biden is following all of the safety protocols.
President Biden tested negative last night for COVID-19 and tested negative again today. He's not experiencing any symptoms. As far as the steps he is taking, since the president was with the First Lady yesterday, he will be masking while indoors and around people in alignment with CDC guidance. And as has been the practice in the past, the president will remove his mask when sufficiently distanced from others indoors and while outside as well.
Oh, that's good. That's good that he's following all the safety protocols. One weird thing I noticed, they always say that we have to protect the most vulnerable when it comes to COVID, including the elderly, those with underlying health conditions. But yesterday, I noticed Joe Biden's awarding a Medal of Honor to Lieutenant Taylor. From Tennessee, actually. He received the Medal of Heroic Action during the Vietnam War, and now he's getting the Medal of Honor. He's at a Medal of Honor ceremony with President Biden. And, KJP said that Biden would be wearing a mask indoors when he was around people, per the CDC guidance. Well, he wasn't. He was very, very close to this man, and he wasn't wearing a mask. You got to wear your mask, right? That's what Fauci says. You must wear a mask. But Joe Biden's really close to this man. He's not wearing a mask. What happened? What happened to the safety? What happened to the guidance? We look to Joe Biden to lead, and he's not leading. He's not leading. And Joe Biden actually took a lot of flack. Joe walked out of the ceremony before it was over. Just put the medal on the guy's neck and just walked out. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Part of me just assumes that it was the dementia kicking in. But he puts the medal on Medal of Honor on Army Captain Larry Taylor. The ceremony continued on for several minutes, but Biden completely missed the concluding prayer. Shakes the man's hand. Everybody claps. It's a great moment. They salute. And Joe's like, all right, gotta go. And he just walks out of there. Very confused. Usually when they start clapping, Joe runs away so they can't ask questions. So maybe he took that as his cue to exit. That's probably what, he probably has been told so many times by his aides, like when the clapping starts, just get out of there.
Run, man.
Just get out.
You can't run, but speed walk.
Don't make eye contact with anybody. There was other theories that it was the dementia kicking in, or that maybe he had another accident. It's crazy to think that that's even a possibility. But that's within the realm of possibility. Oh, gotta go.
Oop, made a poopy.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's sad that he did that, though.
It's absolutely disrespectful.
Very disrespectful.
Abhorrent.
Mm-hmm.
He just walked out of the Medal of Honor ceremony before the prayer. Crazy. Bizarre. Again, I think that the man doesn't have his mental faculties, and he heard the clapping. It was probably like, that's my cue. Gotta go. Just run to the door. Sad, disrespectful, all the terrible things.
Yeah, and Captain Taylor's story was pretty cool, too, having to read up on that. Obviously, you said Tennessean, but yeah, saved 4 American soldiers' lives. He was a helicopter pilot, and he went into battlefield and got down there, and they all went in, and he was a hero.
And Joe couldn't even stick around for the end of the ceremony.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Man.
Crazy. So that's our president, the resident in chief. This is the guy in charge. He just dips out. Crazy. Crazy. Karine Jean-Pierre, again at the press conference, she said, Biden's following those protocols. He wasn't. Karine Jean-Pierre also at the press conference reminded everybody, about all the COVID things. Guys, got to get your booster. You got to remember the COVID things.
Widely available at-home COVID test, widely available effective treatments, which can reduce the risk of severe illness, hospitalizations, and death. We will be encouraging, as I have said before, Americans to get their updated COVID-19 vaccine in addition to their annual flu shot and also RSV vaccine.
Yep, you got to get your vaccines, guys. That's what the White House is focusing on. Crazy. Speaking to Michigan's Tudor Dixon, President Trump called on the COVID vaccine makers to release their safety data. Dixon brought up Joe Biden's new plan to release all these new vaccines to combat COVID, which Karine Jean-Pierre was just selling there, for which, the pandemic that's now been reclassified as an endemic, meaning it's not going to go away, for which the government's probably going to recommend new vaccines probably every year. So in announcing these new vaccines, which are going to be made by Pfizer, Moderna, all the guys, Biden said that him and his administration will be recommending that all Americans get them. Well, Trump went on with Tudor Dixon and kind of crapped all over that. He worked with those drug makers during Operation Warp Speed to encourage the manufacture of the vaccine. But now Trump is seems like he's going against the grain. He said Joe Biden just announced that he's going to be funding a new vaccine, is what Tudor Dixon said to Trump. He wants everyone to get this vaccine, and we're hearing a lot of complaints from vaccine injured that say a lot. It's like an understatement. The pharmaceutical companies have refused to release their data on vaccine side effects, but we've seen cases of myocarditis, blood clots, heart attacks. They're all increasing. And then Trump said, well, they should do that, release the data. We're all in this together, and now they should be doing that. And frankly, Trump said, anything new, I hadn't heard what he said yet, but anything new has got to be looked at very carefully. I agree. If these vaccine makers are hiding safety data, if they're hiding the risks, it should be brought to the public. The mandates were put in place by Joe Biden, not just for workers, but for everyday people. Like in New York City, we've talked about it. The 7-year-old kid wasn't allowed to eat at a pizza place because of vaccine mandates. Other cities force people to show their vaccination cards before entering restaurants, public spaces. We're seeing college students and student athletes once again being mandated to take the vaccine. And the VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Event and Reaction System database, was flooded with reports of adverse side effects attributed to the vaccine, including myocarditis. Trump went on to say, but they should be doing that. If they have the facts are public, they should be made public immediately. People should understand that, and they should know what research is showing and what fact-finding is. This is now after the case. Don't forget, when we started, Trump continued, nobody had ever had any idea even the word pandemic was 100 years ago. 1917, that was the last time, and it was a horrible thing. 100 million people perhaps died. But, nobody knows that could happen again. It seems like an ancient kind of thing, the plague. They talk about the plague, but we had our own plague. It was called COVID. It was called the China virus. And frankly, what it did to the world, what that Wuhan lab and what came out of there, it came out of the Wuhan lab. What that did to the world was unbelievable, said President Trump. 60 trillion in damages. So many dead, millions and millions all over the world. What happened there was incredible, horrible. So President Biden, just a couple days ago, Dixon said, he's going to release a new vaccine that works. Those are his exact words. That works. I don't know if that's to indicate that he thinks that the last vaccine didn't work. But the vaccine, Dixon continued, the pharmaceutical companies have been protected by the PrEP Act, and that protects them until I think it's December 24th. Once that sunsets, and they can be held liable for any type of vaccine injuries, will you tell these companies that they must be honest about what has happened with this vaccine? And do you believe that we should be starting a new vaccine at this point? Trump responded, they have to be honest with the numbers, the facts. They have an obligation to be honest. And if they're going to hold back, that means they're holding back something that's not good. So it's good for them to be honest. And people are going to understand that they have to be honest, and any information, they have to release it. I agree with the president. It's so hard to trust these people holding back information. Just be honest. And if a mistake was made, just own it. That's the biggest thing for me. Everybody talks about the vaccine injuries and if they're happening or if they're not. The more that they say, don't look over here, nothing's happening, the more I'm inclined to believe maybe something is happening. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But when you hide something, you don't hide it for good reasons, like Trump said. You usually hide it to protect yourself, right? It's not the crime, it's the cover up. And if they have data on this, they should release it. Completely agree. Trump again went on to defend his plan to get the vaccines researched and manufactured, though he'd never supported forceful vaccinations of Americans. Biden only ended the mandatory vaccination of federal workers in May of 2023, and we're seeing a lot of these mandates come back again in college. You're seeing mask mandates coming back. It's crazy, man. And these vaccines could be hurting people, but we don't have the data. They're hiding the data. Why? Maybe there's nothing to see. And if that's the case, release it. But until they release it, how do we know if there's nothing to see? I don't know, man. 615-737-9986. What do you think? We're getting texts in. I'd like 2403 said, I'd like someone to consider that since this vaccine is not a vaccine by definition, and a vaccine by definition does not exist, how can they enforce a vaccine requirement? Can any attorneys chime in? I don't know how they can enforce this. It's under emergency use authorization, so I don't understand how these mandates can really be in place. They just seem, they're just wrong in general. It's just wrong to force somebody to take medicine that they don't want to take. Anthony texted and he said, "Oh yeah, New York and San Francisco should mask up because of COVID. Has nothing to do with the human feces on the street." Yep. If I was there, I would consider masking up. Geez. I just want to see the information. That's all I want. Let me release the data and I know you think I'm dumb. I know that the vaccine makers think we're dumb, but just release the data. Show us hard facts. Because these same people told us that the vaccine will protect you. You won't get COVID. You won't transmit COVID. That turned out to be not true. Then we had revisionist history, and it was, oh, well, this is just it's gonna decrease hospitalizations and severe risk. Okay. Maybe that's true. I want to see the data on it. But then, CDC guidance came out, and they're saying that this new variant, you may be more susceptible to get it if you've been vaccinated or had COVID in the past. It's just interesting to me. I don't know. I wish that we could see a real, honest dialogue on this. But it seems like even the conversation gets shut down. You're not allowed to talk about it. And to me, when you're not allowed to talk about something, there's got to be reasons for it. I don't know what the reasons are. I'm not a doctor. Talk to your doctor about what's right for you. For me, I don't know. I'm waiting to see more data. It is 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Thanks for hanging out with us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Still a mess in traffic. Of course, we have an investigation underway. It could be a hit and run. Let's hope it doesn't turn into a deadly one. But the off-ramp is blocked from 40 eastbound to Donaldson Pike, where a man was run over by a truck. You got a crash blocking the left lane of Briley Parkway eastbound at the Cumberland River. Crash blocking the right lane 24 eastbound at 65 north. Then 40 eastbound, the second right lane blocked right there at Charlotte Avenue. Left two lanes blocked by a crash 40 westbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. Left lane blocked 24 eastbound at the 40 split. And then look for in Rutherford County. You got a stalled vehicle, center lane blocked in a bad place, 24 westbound right there in Smyrna. Another surprise high-level visit to Ukraine, and the CDC's worried, recommending you do something. These stories and more at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. All right, so just in case you were thinking about forgiving Bud Light, I wanted to bring this to your attention. Bill Gates is betting on Bud Light's comeback. And he bought 1.7 million shares of their stock. Is Bill Gates have such poor self-awareness that he thinks that people like Bud Light or like him enough that that's going to save the company?
Yeah, what?
Like, that just, like, renews my hate for Bud Light.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Bill Gates owns you now? Great. Like, if there's anybody less liked than Dylan Mulvaney in America, I have a feeling it's Bill Gates.
Well, and somebody like Bill Gates, that's disposable income.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, 1.7 million. That ain't nothing. That's crazy.
That's a trip to the vending machine for a pop.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're all going to be paying at the grocery store sometime soon, though. Yeah. Unbelievable. Bill Gates. Yeah, he's betting on Bud Light, guys. So if you want to help Bill Gates fail, just keep not buying Bud Light. We're winning. Don't let anybody tell you any different. We're winning. And that proves it. Screw Bill Gates. It is 9:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Thank you for being a part of the show on the Super Text line and the phone line 615-737-9986. Ken Weaver's got your headlines right now on WTN.
Ten o'clock on the dot this Wednesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And again, the off-ramp from 40 eastbound to Donaldson Pike is closed for an investigation. That's where Metro Police say a man was run over by a truck, which reportedly left the scene. That man's at Vanderbilt with what police describe as serious injuries. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in Russia's war on Ukraine, America's top diplomats on an unannounced visit to Kyiv, pledging more U.S. aid to help fight off Russian attacks and rebuild.
The day will come when this war ends. Ukraine will have secured its right to choose its own future, because fundamentally that's what this is about. And when that day comes, it will be in no small measure because of the work that all of you have done.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken expected to announce another $1 billion in U.S. aid to Ukraine while on this trip. A warning about the rise in a viral infection. Here's Ariel Reshef.
The CDC concerned about the uptick in RSV cases in the southeast in recent weeks. Experts say if pre-pandemic trends return, the respiratory illness will likely spread north and west over the next 2 to 3 months. Young children and older adults are most at risk for developing severe symptoms. A vaccine is now available for people over age 60. A shot for infants under 8 months will be available starting in the fall, and a vaccine for women who are 32 to 36 weeks pregnant is expected to be available soon.
Right now, First Lady Jill Biden's recovering from her mild COVID symptoms in Delaware. But in the meantime, the White House says President Biden's been testing negative and his schedule hasn't changed. He's still planning to go to the G20 summit in India this week. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Did Biden rage over the fact that he was treated like a toddler? That's what Peter Ducey asked KJP about. So apparently, there's this new book coming out. It was reported last week that in this book they're saying President Joe Biden is resenting his aides for having to play cleanup after he suggested that he wanted Russian President Vladimir Putin removed from power. That gaffe was in March of 22 when Biden was addressing a crowd in Warsaw, Poland. And now there's a new book detailing the aftermath of that gaffe. And Biden saying that he felt like his staff treated him like a toddler. Peter Ducey was just doing base Ducey things, and he asked KJP about it.
Thank you, Karine. President Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history. Why does White House staff treat him like a baby?
No one treats the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, like a baby.
So there's a book that says...
It's just so good. Like, oh my gosh, Ducey. Just cojones of steel.
Seriously.
Just, why does the staff treat him like a baby? Could you imagine any other president in the history of the country having their press secretary ask that?
Wow.
Obama? No.
No.
Trump? Absolutely not. Just like Clinton? Bush? Anybody?
Thank you, Karine. President Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history. Why does White House staff treat him like a baby?
No one treats the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, like a baby.
So there's this book that says...
That's ridiculous.
When staff
That's a ridiculous
claim.
claim.
What sounded like a call for regime change in Russia, the president, quote, rather than owning his failure, he fumed to friends about how he was treated like a toddler. Was John Kennedy ever babied like that?
So look, I'll say this. There's going to be a range, always a range.
And then she goes, she's just going to go on for word salad for about a minute here. She has no response to this, but she tries her best to deflect and get around it.
Range of books that are about every administration, as you know, that's going to have a variety of claims. That is not unusual. That happens all the time. And we're not going to litigate those here. That's something that we're not going to speak to. There is one thing that I do want to, because I think I was asked this question last week by one of your colleagues about.
She said, I do. Let me answer a different question, though, for you, Pete. let me listen. I'm not gonna answer that one. But let me go ahead and I'll answer a question that you didn't ask. How about that? That's the best I can do for you, sir, is I can answer a question you didn't ask.
About this particular excerpt that they were referring to. And so I'll say this, we did see the excerpt, the context of the excerpt, and it seemed to be making the opposite overall point about how the value of his experience and wisdom resulted in rallying the free world against authoritarianism, which is important. We have seen this. You all have seen this. And passage of the most historic agenda in recent history in his handling of foreign policy, like rallying the world around Ukraine, as you just heard from our national security advisor, who laid out in really good questions that your colleagues asked about how the president is moving forward, about Ukraine, about kind of leading into these conversations that he's going to be having at the G20.
I mean, the mental gymnastics of this woman. Do you feel rallied around Ukraine? I don't think Joe Biden can even rally Americans around Ukraine. The majority of us don't want to give money for this war. The majority of us don't want to be slow walked into World War III. The majority of us would rather send money to Lahaina as opposed to Ukraine. We'd rather send money to East Palestine, Ohio instead of Ukraine. We'd rather send money to hurricane victims in Florida instead of Ukraine. But Joe Biden, he's just rallying. He's rallying not just Americans, but the world around Ukraine with his wisdom. This lady, she is something else. Then Ducey just continues throwing heat. Peter Ducey should get Tucker Carlson's slot. The way he handles this kind of stuff. This is him asking KJP about how Joe Biden hasn't had a break to be able to visit East Palestine.
Just one more. The president said over the long weekend that he hasn't had the occasion to go to East Palestine. I just haven't been able to break. The derailment was on February 3rd. President Biden has not had a break since February 3rd?
The president will go to East Palestine. He promised that he would, and he will. You saw him.
So he was not on a break when he was in Lake Tahoe?
I will say this again. The president is going to go to East Palestine, as he has said that he is committed to do. You saw him just this Saturday visit a rural area, right, that was devastated. Some parts were devastated by Hurricane Idalia, and he was there with the First Lady. They were able to hear directly from the American people, and he was able to talk about what is it that they need. What else do they need from the federal government? So the president is going to go to East Palestine. I don't have a time or date to announce at this time, but he will go.
Spoiler alert, he's not going to go to East Palestine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the people of East Palestine. Well, I'm not even sorry. You don't want him there anyway. He's not coming. He probably has no plans to go. But he said he couldn't go because he hasn't had a break. Doesn't have a break. The man has been on vacation for an entire year.
The whole year has been a break.
Out of his first term, hopefully his only term, Lord willing, he has been on vacation for about a year.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And he was asked, he got caught over the weekend, and he had to tell the press that he's not on vacation.
So, by the way, the reason I'm here today, just for one day, I know I'm on vacation. I'm not. I have no home to go to. The Secret Service has torn my house up in a good way to make it secure. So I have no place to go when I come to Delaware except here right now. I'm only here for one day.
So he went to Rehoboth Beach, but it wasn't a vacation. He had to go because he has no home to go to, you guys. They're still rebuilding from the fire. Give the man a break. Give him a break. He works hard. He deserves a break. Ducey went on to ask KJP why it is that 2/3 of Democrats think Joe Biden is too old.
Why do you think it is that in a Wall Street Journal poll, 2/3 of Democrats think President Biden is too old to run again?
Look, here's what I know. Here's what I can speak to. I can speak to that a president who has wisdom. I can speak to a president who has experience. I can speak to a president who has done has taken historic action and has delivered in historic pieces of legislation. And that's important.
It is.
When the last guy who was in this in the Oval Office,
Orange Man Bad,
talked about infrastructure week, it was a joke. And the president passed a pretty important piece of legislation in a bipartisan way because of his wisdom, because of his experience. And now we have infrastructure decade. And it doesn't stop there. It starts last week. We talked about how the president beat Big Pharma.
That to me is one of the weirdest claims. Joe Biden has beat Big Pharma. He's beat Big Pharma. Big Pharma has record profits. They're making billions upon billions. He's beat Big Pharma? How can you assert that claim that he's beat Big Pharma? Literally, in that same press conference, KJP was saying, we're going to recommend that everybody gets their new COVID vaccine, their new flu shot, their new RSV vaccine. Like, you're literally a mouthpiece for Big Pharma. Quite literally. They have record profits. Birth control is going to be sold over the counter. Big Pharma. You have not beat Big Pharma. You have not even taken on Big Pharma. Big Pharma runs everything. That is like one of the craziest claims. Joe Biden has beat Big Pharma. Nope. I don't buy it. Joe Biden has not beat Big Pharma. He just hasn't. He hasn't. I don't think any president has really beaten Big Pharma. Big Pharma's massive. It's a big battle to fight.
And it doesn't stop there. It starts last week. We talked about how the president beat Big Pharma, something that elected officials and politicians have been trying to do for 33 years. And he's been able to do that. And we introduced the first tranche, the first 10 drugs that Medicare can now negotiate on, right? And it's going to save money for our seniors, for Americans across the country. The gentleman that introduced
This is a jump the shark moment for her right here.
The gentleman that introduced the president, Stephen, who's 71 years old, paying $16,000 a month. $16,000 a month just to stay alive because he had cancer and diabetes. And he cannot retire because he has to pay $16,000 a month.
He can't retire because he has to pay $16,000 a month because of his cancer and diabetes. Maybe if the inflation hadn't wiped out his savings account from Joe Biden's administration, maybe he would be able to retire. $16,000 a month. Maybe if his grocery bills weren't insanely high. Maybe if his credit card interest wasn't through the roof, Mr. President, maybe he would be able to retire.
Because he has to pay $16,000 a month. And because of the work that this president has done, he doesn't have to do that anymore. And I'll say one last thing. I know you have a follow-up, probably about 5 more, but let me just say this one last thing, is that the interesting thing about this is that the president has done these historic pieces of legislation, whether it's the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, whether it's the American Rescue Plan, whether it's CHIPS and Science Act, whether it's the Inflation Reduction Act. There are some Republicans, right, in the House, in the Senate, that did not vote for any of these legislations that I just laid out, who go back to their state, go back to their district, and take credit for something that the president did. Yep. So this is not unusual. They did this in 2019, they did this in 2020, and they did this in 2022, and the president continues to prevail.
I just think about that V for Vendetta line. England prevails. Through it all, Biden prevails.
And the president continues to prevail.
Unbelievable. This woman talks out both sides of her mouth. It really drives me nuts that they say, oh, Biden's taking on Big Pharma. He's the only one that's taken on Big Pharma as they continue to show more vaccines. He did cure cancer. He did cure cancer. Unbelievable. And that story, if the man's paying $16K a month for medication, like how does that add up? Right? Like, So is the man not retiring? How much is this guy making a month? What does this guy do? Is he an investment banker? Does he work for Big Pharma? I don't know where you're clearing checks where you can afford $16K a month.
Well, Big Pharma's been defeated, so.
No.
Come on, man.
Sorry, keep up. Keep up. Big Pharma. Oh my gosh. But like $16K a month. 6466 just texted in $16K a month. So the guy must be making $300K a year. Unreal.
Jeez.
That just seems like a made-up story to me. Does it feel like a made-up story to you?
100%.
It's like, let me pull a big number out of somewhere. Let me just pull that out. Oh, jeez. Somebody said, how do you make $16K a month? Somebody said, well, he sells meth. Yeah, she's talking about Walter White. Let me tell you about an American named Walter. Walter has been dealing with cancer, and he can't retire because he's got incredible bills. Unbelievable. That's our press secretary and our president beating Big Pharma and highlighting the curious case of Walter White. 9634 said that would be $192K a year if you're paying $16K a month. I don't know. I'm not doing napkin math. I'm just trusting the super texters.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, don't let me down, super texters. Keith said she pulled that big number out of her big. I know, Keith. That's what I was inferring to.
Yes.
Mike said the guy paying $16K a month must work for Hunter.
That's great.
Oh my gosh, I still think it's funny. How do you make that much? He sells meth. Let me tell you about my friend Walter. Walter was making a humble salary as a school teacher.
Next we'll find Jesse.
Yeah. Luckily, he linked up with his friend Jesse and started making some real money. Unbelievable. Karine Jean-Pierre, everybody. The president has beaten Big Pharma. Thank you. Has anybody ever beaten Big Pharma? Is that even possible? I don't think so. Also, we do have some shocking news. First it was Joe Biden, and now Whoopi Goldberg also has COVID.
As you can see, Whoopi is not here. She has COVID. Yes, it's back. It's back. But she's on the mend. She's on the tail end, and she'll probably be back.
I like how everybody says, "Oh, Whoopi's not here," and then they go, "COVID's back," and it's like crickets.
You can see Whoopi is not here. She has COVID. Yes, it's back. It's back.
It's back.
But she's on the mend. She's on the tail end.
Crickets. Wow. Even the View audience is like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Tony in Springfield, you have a comment on Big Pharma. What's up, Tony? You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, I just wanted to weigh in and comment on the fact that the press secretary was stating that Biden had beat Big Pharma. If you go back and look, President Trump had a most favored nation bill that he was trying to pass. Presently, the U.S. is getting worse pricing than other nations on medications, like worse than European nations. And basically, the pharma companies are saying, well, that's because they negotiate, and, we don't have to negotiate with the U.S. It's just funny. Trump was trying to get us the best pricing, and it was knocked down by a court in Maryland. It just continues to get more and more ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a laughable claim that we've beat Big Pharma. But like everything else with this administration, it's laughable at best.
Just go and look up Trump's favored nation pricing for pharma, and you'll get the background on it.
All right, I'll definitely Google it. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate you, man. It is 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Be a part of the show, 615-737-9986. Whether you're on the phone line or the text lines. I still think it's so funny. Super text of the day saying, how does that guy afford $16K a month for medication? And a super texter said, well, he sells meth. Super text of the day. 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling. Jeff Eddy, just so you know, what a great guy he is. He's a family man, a good Christian, and a great dad. It can be so hard to find someone you trust when it comes to these large home repairs, but when you find a good guy like Jeff Eddy, you got to hang on to him. Efficient Heating and Cooling is a small company with big service and even bigger results. I trust Jeff Eddy and his crew to do what's right, and they have proved it time and time again. So if you're trying to make that decision to repair or replace your system, well, you got to give Jeff Eddy and his friends a call. Even if you've already had somebody look at your system, have Jeff Eddy come over for a second opinion. Most companies are going to pressure you to replace the system because they make more money that way. Jeff Eddy and his crew are going to pressure you to do the right thing for your system. And if that means replacing a part, they'll help you figure that out. If it means replacing your unit, they'll help you figure out the best unit for your house. And with Efficient, they offer up to 18 months, same as cash financing on your next HVAC unit. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric, an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. So if you need somebody to look at your HVAC unit, if you need somebody to service your heater before it starts getting cold, well, go to efficienthvac.net right now or call 615-784-4424.
Got a brand new crash to tell you about. It's 40 eastbound in Wilson County. It's right after Highway 109. That's the Gallatin exit. And then in Nashville, you've got a crash right shoulder block 40 eastbound right before Charlotte Avenue. And the left lane is blocked 24 eastbound after I-40, exit 52AB. New U.S. aid to Ukraine is pledged, and the CDC's warning of a viral outbreak, particularly hard on infants and people over 60. These stories and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 10:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We were talking about how Joe Biden beat Big Pharma. I mean, he opened up a can of whoop ass on Big Pharma. I don't know if you knew that or not.
He channeled his Jack Smith.
He did. He went full Jack Smith on Big Pharma. One of the things that I've had pointed out to me, and I knew this already, but in 2020, it was Donald Trump that capped the price of insulin at $35 a month. And Joe Biden took that away, but then actually reinstated it to $35 a month thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act in October of 22. Weird how Joe Biden's biggest victory seems to be just reinstating Trump policy. Weird. Hey, Sandra in Nashville, you have a comment on Big Pharma. You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Sandra?
Hey, I just wanted to say that poor guy has to sell meth because Marsha Blackburn doesn't like people who sell fentanyl.
Oh, yeah. All right, that's fair. Yeah, I don't like people. I don't like people that sell fentanyl either, or meth.
Okay. Also, no. What I really wanted to say is, everyone's talking about masking up again. The NIH just came out with an article or a report that the particles in the golden standard mask, so what is it, the N95?
Yes, ma'am.
It's causing cancer and seizures in people.
I saw that as well. That's crazy because we were conspiracy theorists for saying anything like that just a year ago.
Yep.
They
That's all.
they fact checked us up and down about that. It's unbelievable. But luckily we have Joe Biden in office and we're beating Big Pharma. Thanks so much for the call, Sandra. I really appreciate it. All right, so on the way, we are going to talk about Joe Biden's economy. And I do want to put the word out. If you're a farmer, I want to talk to you. And this is why. They're saying that we're going to be seeing food price increases of 30 to 40%. 30 to 40% over the next few months because the outbound contracts are coming up. And farmers are going to be able to renegotiate. So I want to know if you're a farmer out there, I want you to check in at 615-737-9986. Are you renegotiating these contracts? I definitely want to talk to any farmers that we have in the area because I am not a farmer, believe it or not. I am a humble meme farmer, but I don't actually farm in a field. And I want to know if you're selling crops, if you're in the weeds on that kind of stuff. Are food prices going to go up? I have more on that coming up. Right now, it is 10:29 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the latest headlines on Super Talk.
10:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And we've got the full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Let's check traffic for you right now. Wilson County, you've got a crash 40 eastbound right after Highway 109, the Gallatin exit. And then closer to Nashville, right shoulder block 40 eastbound before Charlotte Avenue. That's exit 209. And in South Nashville, left lane is blocked 24 eastbound right after I-40, exit 52AB. Another trip to Ukraine for Secretary Blinken, his fourth, and talk of yet more U.S. money, at least $1 billion more. And Moscow, meanwhile, the Kremlin spokesman says such assistance simply will not change the course of the conflict. And right now in America, the CDC says it's concerned about the uptick in RSV cases in the Southeast in recent weeks. Officials letting everyone know a vaccine's available for people over age 60. A shot for infants under 8 months will be available starting in the fall. And a vaccine for women who are 32 to 36 weeks pregnant expected to be available soon for RSV. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, I'm Paul Winkler. One of the biggest decisions people have to make in retirement is how to take Social Security. You'll get all kinds of workshops about that, and you'll see all kinds of things about that particular topic. Because Social Security, for some people, it might be a third or even more of their income in retirement. So you want to get this decision right. Well, how do you make the decision? Well, one of the things we look at, there are programs we use. This is one of the simpler programs that we use right here. And I want to just show you how it works and how it actually unravels some of the misconceptions we have about Social Security. So we have two people here, they're age 60, and they're looking at filing for Social Security. One person has a retirement benefit of $2,500. That is their main benefit from Social Security at their full retirement age. The other one has a $500 benefit. And what we can do here, which is kind of cool, is look at this and say, okay, well, what if we have this person has that life expectancy and that person has that life expectancy there? And then what we do is we assume a certain cost of living increase in Social Security. What would be the optimal for taking the benefit where they get the most benefit or the most bang from their buck? And where we see the star, that shows that we would have the best benefit. Now, this is one person filing at age 67, the other person at age 70. Well, a lot of people think, well, I retire, I have to take Social Security at the same time that I retire, and that's not necessarily the case. As you can see here, one may take it at one age and one may take it at another, even though they're the same age right now. Now, the other thing we can do is say, well, what if I took it early? What if I took it at this particular age right here, where one person's 65 and the other one's 65? You can actually see how much it could cost in benefits. When we do this, we can see how much it might cost us and how much it might affect us negatively to do that. Now, the other thing we can do is we can play around the life expectancies, and we say, well, if this person lives to that age, now the cost is $187,000 in this particular example, taking it at that age right there. So you can see, based on your own life expectancy, and typically people will say, well, what did my parents live to, and come up with that type of data. So this is just part of the financial planning process that we use at Paul Winkler Inc. If you want to know more about what we do, you can get a free 15-minute phone call at our website, paulwinkler.com. We do financial planning, full financial planning. We do investing, education, and investing. We actually help people through those decisions, helping them set up their 401ks and those types of decisions, as well as risk management. But we don't get paid on commission. That's what makes us so different from other firms out there that do what we do. So if you want to find out more, go to paulwinkler.com.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for the Dr. Gill Center. Back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain. It can all be treated with no needles and no downtime. At the Dr. Gill Center, they've been helping people get back to pain-free life for over 30 years. So many people think they're just a chiropractic center, but they do practice chiropractic care, but they have so much more, like state-of-the-industry equipment, like their Class 5 laser, red light therapy, and spinal decompression, all to pinpoint that inflammation in your body, reduce pain, swelling, and accelerate healing. So regardless of where the pain is or what your pain levels are, the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin can help. And the Dr. Gill Center wants to offer a special offer to those of you out there that are suffering with pain and looking for non-surgical solutions. Just $49 gets you all of your new patient initial examination, x-ray, and a complete review of your findings. Less than $50 to find out what's causing your pain. So do what I did. Give the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin a call and begin your journey in becoming pain-free. Call 615-882-4838. That's 615-882-4838 and tell them Chris Hand told you to call. Don't take a pill. Call Dr. Gill.
The Financial Times and the Wall Street Journal have heard me say it before, started calling my plan Bidenomics. It's about investing in America and investing in Americans. It's working.
It's working. Bidenomics is working. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 10:35. My name is Chris Hand. Do you think Bidenomics is working? I mean, that's what they keep telling us. They keep telling us that it's working. Top economic advisor Jared Bernstein was jumping around on the news networks, and he says, yeah, Bidenomics, guys. It's rocking. Bidenomics is absolutely rocking. Listen to this.
So I think it's an inaccurate narrative to declare that somehow Bidenomics isn't working or that it's not favorably received by people when you drill down into what it actually is.
Oh, it's unfair to say it's not working. I mean, you know, guys, the cost of living has been soaring. Our standard of living has been going down. 60% of Americans right now are living paycheck to paycheck. 60%. Debt levels rising to unprecedented levels. We have the highest credit card debt that we've ever had. And because consumers have so little disposable income, retailers all over the nation are experiencing difficulty. In fact, they're projecting that 50,000 stores could close in the U.S. by the end of 2027. Bidenomics is working. Okay. I mean, that we haven't even got into the housing market. The housing market is also going haywire. According to Fortune, the month of August will become the worst month for housing affordability this century. This century. On Monday, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate reached 7.48%, marking the highest level since the year 2000. Even prior to this recent surge in mortgage rates, housing affordability, as monitored by the Atlanta Fed, had already deteriorated beyond the levels seen at the housing bubble's peak in 2006. So once this latest mortgage rate surge is factored in, August 2023 is going to become the worst month for housing affordability this century. That means Bidenomics is working, right? Yep, it's working.
The Financial Times and the Wall Street Journal, have heard me say it before, started calling my plan Bidenomics.
Yeah, we've all heard it before.
It's about investing in America and investing in Americans. It's working.
Yeah, it's working. It's working. And we're apparently going to be seeing large companies all over America start laying off workers. It's being reported that a staggering 1.2 million native-born Americans lost their jobs during the months of July and August. That was from the Daily Mail. And they were replaced by 688,000 foreign-born staff. So do the math. I mean, that's a net loss of right around 500,000 jobs. I mean, that happens as Joe Biden allows migrants to flood across the border. It's crazy. It's just crazy. This is your country on Bidenomics. Unfortunately for Joe Biden, I mean, it has become clear that most Americans have lost faith in him. According to that same Wall Street Journal poll, 73% of U.S. voters now believe Joe Biden is too old to run for president. He's ruining the economy, and he's too old to do anything about it. Unbelievable. And I got this clip. It's going viral on the TikTok. And if you're a farmer out there, I want you to jump in on this. Food prices could be going up even more. So this is a farmer talking about food costs in America. He's standing in what looks like an airplane hangar full of onions. That's how I know he's legit, because I've never seen somebody with that many onions. I know it's on TikTok. I know it's on the internet. Take it with a grain of salt. That's why I'm asking you, if you're a farmer, to weigh in on this at 615-737-9986. But this is what this guy says about food prices and how they're expected to increase very, very soon.
Between 9 and 12 months from now, if not sooner, you're going to see that your food costs you 30 to 40% more. So if you have the ability to go buy canned goods or frozen goods or other items that are shelf stable, I would tell you, go buy them. Go buy them now. And I don't mean go hoarding or something like that, but just to save yourself some money, go to the grocery store, buy those items that you like and that you use, and put them away and save yourself some money. Why is this happening? Well, it's happening because our costs are increasing so much. This misnomer that it's 3% is absolutely that. Our costs are up 40%. It might be 35%, but they're up significantly. And up to now, we've had contracts committed on stuff like onions outbound, so we couldn't raise our prices. Those contracts, they're coming to an end, which means we're allowed to reset the contracts, which we're going to have to do because we'll go broke in a year if we don't actually reset those prices. So go out, buy the items, save yourself some money, and take this little piece of advice. See ya.
So he's saying go invest and go buy some canned goods because these prices are going to go up due to food contracts coming up, and they're going to be renegotiating these prices. 30 to 40% is what this guy on TikTok is expecting. Adam in Columbia works in the ag industry. You're on line one. Adam, do you see these food prices jumping up that much?
Absolutely, I do. And the reason I say that, everything in the agriculture industry is based off of fuel prices. When you think about Ronald Reagan said farmers are the only ones that buy at retail, sell at wholesale, and pay the freight both ways. Everything tied to the ag industry is tied to fuel prices. And a lot of people don't realize that fertilizer costs, which is a huge cost for a lot of farmers, a lot of that fertilizer is a petroleum-based product. So everything that Biden is doing to make the fuel prices go up and up and up is just going to send shockwaves through the ag industry, and the end customer is the one that's going to pay for it.
So how much do you think food prices are going to be going up in the near future?
Well, how much are gas prices going up? And that's basically, that percentage, that's what it's going to tell you. I mean, if your costs go up, you have to pass it along to your customer, and that's going to be the general public.
Hey, thanks for the call, Adam. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the call. Thanks for listening. Brian said it on his show. Nothing ripples through an economy faster than gas prices. Adam just said the same thing. And gas prices, while they have been going down, they're the highest that they've been in quite a while.
Despite the fact that we'll get that normal break as we get past the summer driving season, we're in an era of much higher gasoline prices. I don't expect a major fall, maybe 10 to 15 cents a gallon, and then we're going to start going up because America is running on empty. We're not producing as much oil as we could, and the Biden administration is thwarting us at every stop.
Yeah, the Biden administration doesn't want us to drill for oil. I'm old enough to remember that we were energy independent under Trump. I'm old enough to remember that Joe Biden sold basically all of our fuel reserves. Unbelievable. So it's going to ripple through the economy so fast. I got a text in here from JB. He says, my cousin farms thousands of acres in Alabama. He claims the government pays him not to grow certain crops. Interesting. I got a text from 6135. He said, I'm a real estate appraiser, started in 2007. Buyers weren't able to purchase homes because of the inflated prices, interest rates. Rental rates have skyrocketed accordingly. Interesting. 3779 said, Adam's right about a gallon of milk and a gallon of fuel. John Rose in Putnam County, you have a comment on the food prices. You're on line one. John, you're on Super Talk. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Good, sir. What do you think about these food prices?
Well, I am a farmer and also serve in Congress and serve on the Agriculture Committee. And certainly the last 2.5 years under the Biden administration and President Biden, so-called Bidenomics, we've seen the stage set for runaway inflation that's putting strain on every working American and certainly Americans on fixed incomes. But I think there's one thing we need to remember with respect to farmers, and that is that farmers are price takers. So the one thing I might quibble with maybe the TikTok video is that farmers don't just raise their prices when they want to. They're selling, in almost all cases, commodities, and the market dictates what those prices will be. Certainly, the pressures of inflation that we see in the economy and rising fuel prices and rising input costs for farmers make it more difficult for them to produce the products that they produce, and ultimately that will drive up prices for those commodities. But we shouldn't confuse that farmers are just able to go out and say, I'm going to charge more for my product, because that's not the way the agricultural industry works. That's not the way farmers determine their prices.
And just to be clear, this is Representative John Rose from Cookeville?
That's right. I serve in the U.S. House, represent the 6th District of Tennessee.
All right. Well, thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. So how do we make things better, John?
Well, I think you've got to, first of all, you've got to unleash the productivity of America. We've got to produce the energy that we have right here at home, which will bring down those fuel prices, and then that impacts virtually every other segment of the economy. We've got to, get the border under control, and the government's got to quit spending so much money, borrowing and spending so much money, which just drives up demand and deters people. The government policies are deterring people from working, and all of this ultimately contributes to the inflationary spiral that we've seen develop. And of course, we see the Federal Reserve responding to that. I also serve on the Financial Services Committee. The high interest rates that we're all seeing today, the highest in 20 years, make it harder on everyone, including business people and farmers, to make ends meet. So all of the policies of Bidenomics have contributed to this inflation, the highest since I was a junior in high school 40 years ago, and I don't see it getting better as long as this president continues to demand the kinds of policies that he is implementing.
Thanks so much. On the phone is John Rose from the United States Congress, and this wasn't a planned interview. Thank you for calling in. I really appreciate it. Do you think that the Biden administration is going to do anything to fix this, or do you think that their policies are just going to continue to degrade the economy?
I think their policies will continue to degrade the economy. The high interest rates were meant to slow down inflation, but they have the impact of slowing down investment and growth in the economy, and ultimately we see that impact beginning to take shape. The president continues to spend like money is going out of style, and hasn't met a program. For goodness sakes, we saw him implement and the Democrats passed on a partisan basis the Inflation Reduction Act last year, which in itself was ridiculous to call it that. But all it was more spending, more government spending, which would only have the impact, frankly, of increasing inflation.
Yeah, more money out equals, more money in the system, and then the prices go up on everything. So what can we do to, despite the Biden administration's, plan of action currently, how do you guys in Congress do something to combat this?
Well, I think the first real opportunity we're going to have when we go back into session next week is to pass conservative appropriations bills that continue the process of reining in government spending. The government's got to live within its means and just trim ourselves in terms of spending that we're doing in Washington. That will allow more room for the private sector. We've got some tax cuts that passed during the Trump administration that are going to start to expire next year. And frankly, if we don't extend those tax cuts, you'll see greater slowdown in productivity and the economy that will, I think, just exacerbate these problems. So, next year is a choice election for the American people. And, if you think you're better off next year when you go to the ballot box than you were 4 years earlier, then, probably you should vote for Biden if he's still able to serve at that time. But if you don't think you're better off, you probably should find someone different.
I would argue if you think you're better off than you were 4 years ago under Trump, I have some oceanfront property for you in Arizona. That would be my comment. Hey, John, I want you to hang on the line. My producer's going to get your info. We'd love to have you on again. Thanks so much for calling in. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, it is 10:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Make sure that you're following me off air online on Twitter, Instagram, Truth Social. The handle is @ChrisHandOnAir. Thank you, John Rose, Congressman Rose, for calling in to the Chris Hand Show. You never know who's going to call into the Chris Hand Show. A lot of times it could be a crazy person just rambling on, but then sometimes we get class acts like John Rose just listening and chiming in. It's amazing. It's amazing what happens on the phone lines here at 615-737-9986. Hey, Troy in Winchester, I see you on hold. We'll get to your call next. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for USS, United Structural Systems. Now, when I met with the guys at USS, they told me that they work in an industry where you don't know you need them until you know you need them. And when I had a critter in my crawl space, I had poked my head down there after a while of being down there, and I realized, oh man, I need these guys. Now, I didn't have water sitting down there, thank goodness. I didn't have any wet basement walls, thank goodness. But I did need encapsulation. So I'm working with those guys to come up with a plan to fix that. If you're noticing wet basement walls, if you're noticing standing water in your crawl space or cracks in your basement floors, your house is trying to tell you something. So give the guys at USS a call to check it out. 615-488-7855. With 25,000 satisfied customers, you can be confident that they will take good care of you. So call USS today. 615-488-7855. Or all of your questions can be answered online, USSTN.com.
Well, it looks like this morning's heavy rain has moved off well to the east of Nashville. In fact, it's almost out of Middle Tennessee. Lebanon's still getting a little bit of it, but most of it is out of here. We'll wait for round 2 this afternoon. Checking traffic, we got a crash 40 westbound at the Elm Hill Pike overpass. The right lane is blocked. And Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell holds a news conference today. We'll have a preview of that coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And thanks again to Congressman John Rose listening to the show, randomly calling in. Took me and Mac by surprise. I wasn't ready for that. Pretty cool. Seemed like a pretty chill guy. Looking forward to talking to him again. Seems super chill. Troy in Winchester, you get a call about money to Ukraine, which I can only assume, Troy, that you're not in favor of. What's up, Troy? You're on Super Talk.
Yes, sir. I didn't hear your total interview with him. He is hot. I just want to. We went over to Ukraine or whatever and promised them another $1 billion or whatever. We need to be putting that on the border wall. Taking care of ourselves, not them.
And the craziest thing about the border wall is in the meantime, Joe Biden's selling all the supplies that were left by the Trump administration to continue building the border wall. Joe's literally selling the steel that was left over.
I did not hear that, but it doesn't. What's the putting it into the Biden regime?
It's going into the Biden coffers. I don't know. You never know who he's selling it to or where that money's going, right?
All right. Love your show, man. Have a good one.
Hey, appreciate you, Troy. Thanks so much. Hey,
sir.
Yeah, Dave in Lawrenceburg, continue to hang on the line. We'll get to you real soon. Anything else you guys want to talk about? 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. 0351 said that I gave out the wrong phone number a little while ago on the text line. Sorry if I did that. I was thrown off by Congressman John Rose calling in. It is now 10:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's got the latest headlines.
$11 o'clock on the dot this Wednesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and the last of this morning's heavy rain is just about to depart Lebanon. So Middle Tennessee is getting a break before we could see some severe weather later this afternoon. Those under the biggest risk will be south of I-40, but the risk is still low on the scale. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell holds a news conference today after appearing to freeze again. Speaking to reporters last week, the Capitol physician yesterday cleared McConnell to continue working, but members of his own party still have questions, says Jay O'Brien.
Graham said he was behind McConnell last night, although today he told reporters that he was, quote unquote, concerned about McConnell's health. There are others being more vocal. McConnell's own colleague from Kentucky, the Senator Rand Paul, who's also a doctor, casting a little bit of a skeptical look onto that diagnosis by the Capitol physician, that original diagnosis that said McConnell was dehydrated.
Now, Lindsey Graham with concerns, but Mitt Romney saying he's firmly behind McConnell. Even making a joke to say if he's having problems with 20 seconds out of his day, the rest of his day, he's doing, quote, unquote, a darn good job. Right now in Ukraine,
we come bearing some further assistance for Ukraine across multiple areas.
That is U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on an unannounced trip to Kyiv today, expected to announce another $1 billion in new U.S. funding to help kick Russia out and rebuild. And right now in Nashville, 2 new police investigations underway. One is a claim of self-defense in Old Hickory, where Channel 4 says a woman shot a man in the head, claiming she was being strangled. Both survived. They went to the hospital. And murder in Madison. Metro Police say 44-year-old Brooke Howard's body found in an apartment at the 333 complex on Gallatin Pike. She appeared to have suffered blunt force trauma. Maintenance workers found her body yesterday. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
11:04 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's going on? It's Chris Hand. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thanks again for Congressman John Rose calling in, 615-737-9986. Pretty cool.
Super cool, man.
When, just a chill congressman is listening and decides to call in on the fly.
Yeah, what a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm willing to talk to anybody. Dave in Lawrenceburg, you have a comment on farming. Dave, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Dave?
Hey, I was a recovery agent for 20 years, worked for John Deere.
Okay.
The representative was dead on. It is controlled by the way it goes and prices on food. But here's the thing he left out. The farmer, I grew up in South Georgia. All right.
Yes, sir.
I was in the 70s, a teenager. I knew what combines cost back then. They're $150,000 more today for that same combine, and corn prices have only went up $2. So on top of what the farmers are having to deal with in the fluctuation of prices, they have to keep making the payments on those combines and their equipment, and it just makes it rough on the farmer. They feed this country, and they get the least amount of attention. Until today, when's the last time anybody talked about a farmer?
Interesting. Yeah, no.
They don't. They don't. I have seen farms where I had to pull up thousands of acres and take a combine when the man needed it to take in the crop.
Huh.
And I have seen it, and that's why I walked away after 20 years, because I just couldn't take it.
No, that's interesting, man. I really appreciate the call, Dave. Thanks so much.
And the second thing,
Yes, sir.
that $1 billion in Ukraine, why can't he give it to Hawaii?
I'm 100% with you. I'm tired of funding more forever wars for no reason when we have American citizens at home hurting. Why can't we give it to homeless veterans?
Right. Why? That's because we got a 90-day wonder running the White House.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and he doesn't even know where he is half the time. It's a shame.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
Hey, thanks for calling, Dave. Really appreciate you. We are seeing some news coming out of ABC right now that a group is suing to block Trump from the 2024 ballot, citing the 14th Amendment. Is this going to happen? Doubtful. Could Trump win on a write-in? I don't know. If you ask Donna Brazil, it's a movement. Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics, a Washington-based watchdog group, on Wednesday, today, has filed a lawsuit on behalf of a handful of voters seeking to bar former President Donald Trump from the 2024 ballot in Colorado under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, based on his alleged involvement in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The suit marks one of the first serious challenges to Trump's qualifications as a presidential candidate based on a 14th Amendment article. He's denied all wrongdoing. The push to disqualify him under the 14th Amendment, he's calling election interference. I think it's garbage to say that you're going to try and deny him under the 14th Amendment. To say that he was, involved in January 6th when he said, let's march down there peacefully and patriotically. When he tweeted, "Go home." When he tweeted, the police are on our side. Don't fight the police. You're going to kick him off the ballot for that? Interesting. There was a lot of Democrats that were very pro-BLM, and when they were rioting in May outside of the White House and injuring Secret Service agents, nobody said we should get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris off the ballot. Weird, right? But yeah, Trump, let's get him off the ballot, you guys. He's a danger to democracy, as Joe Biden funds forever wars, trashes our economy, and more. It seems like this president is just ruining the country over and over again. Unbelievable. But yeah, let's keep funding the war in Ukraine, Mr. President. Let's send another $1 billion to Ukraine. That sounds like a great idea. Hey, Ken in the borough, you're on line one. Ken, what's up, man? You're on Super Talk.
Yeah, hey, you made a remark a little bit about getting tired of funding Ukraine.
Yes, sir.
All I'd like to say about that is remember World War II and Adolf Hitler. The United States kept their nose out of it for a good long time until it was too late and we were attacked. And then we had to put lives at stake, not just millions and millions of dollars, which we had to throw that in there too. And we do not have the manufacturing capability we have back then. We don't have that now. So,
yeah, I mean, so you want to keep funding Ukraine?
Yes, I can see putting some checks and balances in it. Maybe some observers to make sure that this money is being spent properly. But, yeah, throw money at them before we throw boots in our boys' souls.
Okay, let me ask you something, okay?
Sure.
What American city would you trade for Kyiv?
None.
Okay, but if we keep funding Ukraine, right, eventually we're either going to have to put boots on the ground or we're going to be in a hot conflict with Russia.
That's correct.
If we get into a hot conflict with Russia, we're going to come to a point where nukes may fly.
That is true. That's why I say we keep our boots off the ground. And, hey, it's not like Russia isn't getting help from other countries.
But, Bud, Russia is getting help from other countries. Russia's getting help from North Korea. Russia's getting help from China.
Oh, yeah.
So
yes, they are. I agree totally.
But
so why shouldn't Ukraine get help from other people?
Why do they need to have help from us? We are crippling ourselves. NBC reported back in March that Ukraine's running low on ammo, and our stockpiles are an increasing concern for ammo.
Correct.
And we keep sending them over there.
Yes, but in a manufacturing process, that creates jobs here in the United States. Although we're sending the product to Ukraine, I understand that. It is a loss. But it's boots and dollars now, or bullets and dollars now, or it's boots and lives later.
I don't agree with that. I think that, we're going to be watching this conflict get worse and worse and worse until nukes are flying. The Ukrainian security chief has declared that World War III has already started.
Well, he's right there in the middle of it. He ought to know.
But why do you want World War III?
I do not want World War III.
But if we keep pushing, we're going up against another nuclear power in Russia. Do you think we can win a hot war against Russia?
Nobody will win a war like that.
So why are we getting involved over their land grab?
Because if after Ukraine it's going to be Poland or one of our other NATO countries, and then we'll have boots on the ground there.
Listen, I get where you're at. Like I understand your logic on that. I just think that if what American city do you want to trade for Kyiv? What American city do you want to trade for Poland?
None.
But you're gonna find yourself in a conflict where nukes are gonna fly, and that's going to be the reality of the situation. We don't have an Iron Dome like Israel.
No, and if Ukraine starts getting more successful than they are, which they seem to be doing all right, painfully slow, but you can't let a bully like Vladimir Putin threaten us with nukes. We can't put our tail between our legs.
But we're not helping the conflict at all. We're exacerbating it. The Biden administration literally blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. People in Germany are going to freeze this winter. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
we're not making things better. We're making things worse.
Well, if Biden wouldn't have totaled out our energy production, we could be supplying Germany with gas.
The U.S.-funded war in Ukraine costs more in one day than Joe Biden is sending to Maui.
I'm not arguing that. I've got no argument against that.
But
we should be taking care of Maui.
I just don't think we should be sending. I don't think we should be sending any money to Ukraine when we're trillions of dollars in debt.
Well, like I said, it's dollars and bullets now, or boots and lives later.
I think
it happened in World War One, and it happened in World War Two, and there will be a World War III.
See, I think if it's dollars and bullets now, it's still going to be lives later. So we're better if it's going to be lives later. Either way, we're better off saving the money and stocking up and putting on our oxygen mask first as a nation. But thanks, Ken. Hey, Ken. First of all, I just want to say thanks for the call. I don't want this to be an echo chamber, so I love having the conversation.
Right. Okay. Good day.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you. Hey, Mike in McMinnville, you have a comment on Ukraine. You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, Mike, you're on Super Talk. What's up?
Okay. I was just going to say I'm in total agreement with that last caller. I listen to you pretty regular of the WTN announcers. I agree with you most of the time, the least. If we don't take this war on now, we will be fighting it all across Europe.
Wait. Hold on. Just rewind it. You agree with me most of the time, the least. So does that mean you don't?
Yeah.
You don't agree with me
I don't agree with you a whole lot. No, I don't agree with your position, especially on Ukraine.
That's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind that you. I don't mind that you don't agree with me.
But you are nothing but an ad for Donald Trump too, and I'm a Republican.
Okay.
But I'm not out. It's not Donald Trump or nothing.
No, I just think it's America first.
Well, I think some of these other politicians ought to WTN and want equal time, since you're giving all your time to Trump.
Well, who do you think is a better candidate?
I think the only person electable is Ron DeSantis, especially with all this stuff coming up with the individual states going to be able to keep Trump off of the ballot if they want to.
But do you think that that's even reasonable to keep Trump off the ballot with the 14th Amendment?
I don't know that it has to do with reason. It has to do with law. And if the law allows it, and they will do it, especially the blue states. So, and he can't win, especially in the battleground states, if this happens.
I mean, if Trump...
I want a winner. I want a winner. I want to win the presidency, the House, and the Senate.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I want to win too.
Our best bet is not with Donald Trump. I do not believe.
But
he's got too much baggage. I voted for him 2 times, but it's time.
Me too.
And I'm a Christian. I don't go along with his morals. I don't go along with his morals. If he's done the stuff with the documents, he needs to be in jail. And so does Biden, and so does anybody else that's taken home secret documents. I'm not cutting it one way or the other. Anybody that's took those home needs to be in jail.
See, I just think, for me, I just feel like DeSantis, they positioned him as the Trump guy, and then he flipped on him at the first opportunity. I just feel like that's and I understand where you're at. I think DeSantis is a good governor, but I don't think he would have been governor without Trump.
Well, we'll never know that, but I'm impressed with him. I'm impressed with his demeanor, the way he handles himself. I'm impressed with what he's done in Florida. I mean, if it comes down to it and Trump is my only choice, I will vote for Trump, but he will have to be my only choice.
Hey, you know what, my friend? I feel the same way about Ron DeSantis. If it came down to it and it was DeSantis was on the ballot, I would vote for DeSantis. But if we're just talking Trump versus DeSantis, I wish Ron had waited until 2028. I thought he would have had a clear path whether Trump won or lost in 2024. I felt like him going against Trump looked disloyal. And I worry that DeSantis would bring in those same neocon policies that I wasn't a fan of in the first place.
Well, I don't know what's disloyal. I mean, this is America. Anybody can run for any position they want to.
Well, he said he wasn't going to run against him.
Well, I don't know about that. I guess so. We didn't know that all this baggage was going to be coming along too. Well, and let me say this about Trump. I do think he's got a bad break on a lot of things. I do think there was a probably unwritten conspiracy between the CIA, the FBI, social media and the national media to get him defeated the last election. I agree with that. Whether there was any vote problems or not, that is a problem with me, with how they all lined up with each other to get him where he could not be elected. But outside of that, though, the other baggage he's got, especially with the documents and different things, I'll have a hard time voting for him.
Hey man, that's you, and I can't argue. I don't.
I've heard other evangelicals saying the same thing. So if that they'll have to hold their nose to vote for him. So
and people have been saying that since 2016. So I get where you're at, Mike. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate you. Hey, it's 11:20. Brian, Margaret, Dan, Bryce, Robin. I see you guys hanging on the line. We'll get to more of your calls next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. This is the Chris Ann Show. Thank you for being a part of it.
You're fired.
Now there's a lawsuit to try to keep former President Trump off the 2024 ballot. We'll give you the details of that coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. I went in to talk to Mac, and he's like, bro, we just got back on the air.
It's time.
Sorry. All right, 11:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Brian in Nashville, you have a comment on Ukraine. Brian, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Brian?
Hey, brother. I want to say Chris, but I want to say Mike more, but I can't talk to him. So when Mac, I guess Mac took my call. I said, let me talk to that ding dong. And he goes, which one are you talking about? I'm not talking about Chris. Anyway, I mean, people like Mike, I'm not sure. My allegiance is not to Trump. My allegiance is to my Lord and to my family and to my country, probably in that order.
Yep, I'm with you.
And my fellow Americans, but even those that don't understand what's going on, it appears that you have some callers that don't appear to know what's going on. I don't understand a word of how these people think or express their opinions when they say that Trump's been, found to take documents or whatever, because everybody who's prosecuting him is from the other side, and they're being paid by Soros. And why don't they understand that they're being prodded and funded by people like George Soros, the Biden crime family? I even think Obama. Yep. I think it goes to the Clintons, of course. They're just it's a big machine. Now the Republicans have a machine too. So I'm kind of like Matt. I'm not a Republican, and I even think Trump's a rhino. I think he's a Republican in name only. If he could be an independent, I'd love that. But he can't run against those machines. So anyway, don't agree at all with Mike. Don't want to be around people like Mike because I'm not sure he knows. Well, I'll vote for him if he's the only one. Well, then don't vote, bro. Just take your vote.
Don't say that. Don't say that. We want his vote. I think we're at a point where Trump is going to be the nominee.
I hope so.
And people will call me an ad for Trump, and I don't like DeSantis. I haven't hid that at all. Believe it or not.
Yeah, he lives in your head, man.
Yeah, he lives in my head rent free, as some people have said. But the Ukraine war doesn't seem like it's America first. I'm America first. That's where my head goes.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely,
Trump just seems like the only guy. When everybody attacks you, it's because you're doing something right.
Absolutely. What is it? Is it Albert Einstein or somebody I heard say, if voting was important, they wouldn't let us do it? Yeah. Is that true? Yes. I don't know if that's true. But anyway, I'm a Trumper, and I believe he did well. He's got a resume now with us, and I believe now they're going to do anything they can to keep him off. And if he was to resign or pull his name out today, they'd leave him alone. They know that he knows. And so if he knows, we know. And so I pray to God that he gets in one more time.
Hey,
thank you for what you do, bro.
Me and you both. Thanks for the call, Brian. I appreciate you. Hey, Dan in Hendersonville, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Dan?
Hey, I was just going to say on this Ukraine thing, I think he can have America first and still succeed in Ukraine. I don't want to see the old Soviet Union put back together. The problem with Biden is he's a weak leader. It would never have gone this far. You talk about a nuclear war, he's going to lead us into a nuclear war.
Oh, 100%.
If Reagan or Trump had been running this, it would never have got this far.
You're absolutely right. Before Trump was elected,
sent them everything they needed to win. If it came to that, I don't think it would come to that. They would have backed down.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Before Trump was elected, they said, he's going to lead us to World War III. Biden gets elected. They say the adults are back in charge. Meanwhile, we're being slow walked right into World War III. Thanks for the call, Dan. I really appreciate you. More calls from you next on the other side at 615-737-9986. My name is Chris Hand. Follow me off the air. I'm on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram. All of those are at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. The time, my friends, 11:30. Ken Weaver's got the headlines.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. It is 11:30 on the dot, and it looks like this morning's heavy rain is well out of the area. Lebanon still getting the last bit of this as it continues to move off to the east, but round two comes this afternoon, and there is a risk of it going severe, and it is on the low level. But it is still a low risk, and that is going to involve most of Middle Tennessee south of I-40. Full forecast in 2 minutes. There is a group, I should say, suing to try to block former President Trump from the 2024 ballot. They're citing the 14th Amendment and January 6th. They're called Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics. They're a Washington-based watchdog group, and they think they have a case under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment based on the former president's alleged involvement in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. They have filed this lawsuit in Colorado. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, I'm Paul Winkler. One of the biggest decisions people have to make in retirement is how to take Social Security. You'll get all kinds of workshops about that, and you'll see all kinds of things about that particular topic. Because Social Security, for some people, it might be a third or even more of their income in retirement. So you want to get this decision right. Well, how do you make the decision? Well, one of the things we look at, there are programs we use. This is one of the simpler programs that we use right here. And I want to just show you how it works and how it actually unravels some of the misconceptions we have about Social Security. So we have two people here, they're age 60, and they're looking at filing for Social Security. One person has a retirement benefit of $2,500. That is their main benefit from Social Security at their full retirement age. The other one has a $500 benefit. And what we can do here, which is kind of cool, is look at this and say, okay, well, what if we have this person has that life expectancy and that person has that life expectancy there? And then what we do is we assume a certain cost of living increase in Social Security. What would be the optimal for taking the benefit where they get the most benefit or the most bang from their buck? And where we see the star, that shows that we would have the best benefit. Now, this is one person filing at age 67, the other person at age 70. Well, a lot of people think, well, I retire, I have to take Social Security at the same time that I retire, and that's not necessarily the case. As you can see here, one may take it at one age and one may take it at another, even though they're the same age right now. Now, the other thing we can do is say, well, what if I took it early? What if I took it at this particular age right here, where one person's 65 and the other one's 65? You can actually see how much it could cost in benefits. When we do this, we can see how much it might cost us and how much it might affect us negatively to do that. Now, the other thing we can do is we can play around the life expectancies, and we say, well, if this person lives to that age, now the cost is $187,000 in this particular example, taking it at that age right there. So you can see, based on your own life expectancy, and typically people will say, well, what did my parents live to, and come up with that type of data. So this is just part of the financial planning process that we use at Paul Winkler Inc. If you want to know more about what we do, you can get a free 15-minute phone call at our website, paulwinkler.com. We do financial planning, full financial planning. We do investing, education, and investing. We actually help people through those decisions, helping them set up their 401ks and those types of decisions, as well as risk management. But we don't get paid on commission. That's what makes us so different from other firms out there that do what we do. So if you want to find out more, go to paulwinkler.com.
11:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Just got a great text from our friend Brian, 0354. Said 14th Amendment, Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislator or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. One could say the same about Joe Biden for taking money from multiple enemies for personal gain. Ooh, spicy take, Brian. I like it. Thank you for all the calls and the texts at 615-737-9986. All right, who we got? Robin in the borough. You have a comment on Ukraine, line 6. Robin, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Robin?
Hey, how are you, dude?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm groovy today. I'm going to talk really fast. First, I have one question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know of any Democrat president that was ever pro-life?
I mean, not off the top of my head.
No, me neither. I Googled it. It's not there. But anyway, I'm going to go on. Those two callers that sounded like they were elderly and they were Southern, it just hurts my heart because I don't see how they want to justify us being involved with Ukraine when we all know with common sense, at least I believe, we are supporting Ukraine because the Bidens have an invested interest. And does he really think that by us helping Ukraine with ammo is going to put American workers to work to make ammo? Does he really think that this administration is going to put people to work making ammo? I don't think so.
I don't think anyone in this administration is worried about putting people to work.
No, absolutely not. And then the other caller after him said something about Trump has too much baggage. Well, the only baggage Trump has is that he is a man with kahunas, and if he does, quote unquote, have baggage, bad baggage that we Christians shouldn't want, it's because the Dems have given him that baggage.
No, you're absolutely right. All these fake indictments, fake charges, witch hunt stuff, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
Yeah, and he was constantly fighting as he's trying to accomplish something. But, Trump is the most, I am a Christ follower. Jesus comes first.
Amen.
But I'm not voting for a freaking pastor. I'm voting for a dude with kahunas.
I'm with you. And I said it to my wife one time. I think I've said it on the air before. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
That's right.
Yep.
Perfect.
I appreciate the call, Robin. Thank you so much. And you got a great voice. You got a great vibe. Your energy's high. I like it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for taking my call. Have a blessed day.
You too. God bless. Hey, Wilbert in Jolton. What's up, man? You're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Wilbert, what's up?
Yes, how are you today?
I'm good, Wilbert. What's going on, man? You got a comment?
Yes, I do. I think that, ever since World War II, we completely rebuilt Europe. We've been wiping their nose and changing their diapers ever since. They're really just a bunch of socialist freeloaders that now they are expected us to pay for everything they do over there, while they don't want to do half of the trade with us because of this or that reasons. Or Merkel was hell bent on buying gas from Russia, even when Trump was in there.
Yep.
And defied him and all this. So, they're basically getting what they deserve after all these years of their selfish, spoiled, we stuff. And Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. It used to be part of Russia. Half of the people there are still pro-Russian. It's really a civil war that's going on. It's none of our business. And NATO needs to step up and defend themselves. This is their backyard. I don't see them over here helping us with the southern border in Mexico.
Absolutely. But
They
hey,
don't even talk about it. They don't even mention it.
The Ukrainian border is much more important than our southern border, Wilbert.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Hey.
And look, I mean, as I heard one commenter say something about, maybe it was you, someone said about the Iron Dome. Well, we've paid for an Iron Dome in Israel, but we don't have one.
No, we don't, and that's the thing. Like,
we've got 75,000. We've got 75,000+ troops guarding a border in Korea.
Yeah,
at a massive expense to us. We pay Korea a fortune every year just to be there.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, I mean, you know, what it comes down to is we've got neocon rhinos that are right there in the bed with all of the racist, warmongering Democrats. Anytime there's a war being called on, those two will get together and they will be the best friends you have ever seen. Bipartisan times, you know, it's let's sing, let's dance, let's open some champagne. Let's send 50 smart missiles into Saddam Hussein's headquarters as the opening salvo. You know, costing us like $1 billion right there, just you know, for show. So this is what it all comes down to. This is why they all hate Vivek. This is why they hate Trump. Because in the world of the swamp, in the district of corruption, I call it D.C.
I like it.
You have to be initiated to get into that place. No one just steps in there and starts upsetting their apple carts.
No, Trump was
It's
the only
taken
true
many
outsider.
years. Yes, it's taken many, many years for them to set all these things up. The Clinton started it. You know, Obama continued it. Bush was part of it. It's all a neocon, warmongering. You know, we worship the pentagram.
Yeah. Hey, you know,
High profits on Wall Street.
When the war broke out between Russia and Ukraine, my daughter had come home from school and she's like, you know, because believe it or not, I'm into politics. So my daughter says to me, "Dad, whose side are we on?" And I said, I said to her, I said, you know, all the kids are talking, Dad. Whose side are we on? Are we on Russia's side? Or are we on Ukraine's side? I got to know. And I said,
we're on our side.
I said two things, right? War is hell. No, there's no winners in war. And two, anytime Republicans and Democrats agree on something, run away from it as fast as you can.
Oh, absolutely. You got that right.
Hey, thanks for the call, Wilbur. I really appreciate you. Tommy in Ukraine. Tommy, not in Ukraine. Tommy has a comment on Ukraine on line 3. Tommy, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Tommy?
Hey, not much. That guy and the lady that you were talking to seem to be the only ones that don't listen to Alphabet News, if you know what I mean.
Hey, Mockingbird Media.
All right, so the only people suffering in the Ukraine are the Ukrainian people. All right, the biolabs, the money laundering, and if everybody would wake up and do some research, the Nazis came out of World War II, mostly moved into Ukraine, and have been controlled by the CIA and protected by the CIA ever since the end of World War II.
Well, a lot of them came to America via Operation Paperclip, too.
That part I don't know about, but if some people would take the time to do a little research, I got news for you, and everybody's going to think I'm crazy. You're going to eat your words in a year. The military backs our president. And guess who our president is?
Who's that?
Trump.
Yeah, I mean,
the Corporation of America was disbanded and bankrupt in 2020. There is no USA. There's USA. We're broke. We're freaking broke.
Well, I can agree with you. I can agree with you that we're broke. I've read the Corporation of American theories and all that kind of stuff. You know, I don't know. It's hard to really dig in on that and buy into it too much. But I've read a lot of that stuff on the internet. You know, we'll see what happens in 24. You know, they definitely don't want Trump to get back in. I know that.
Well, the whole thing with this is going to be to bring out what it is legally on paper in the court, and there's going to be a lot of people going to Gitmo. I think it's 450 are going to be swinging from a rope in Gitmo before long.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, I've read all those theories online, and I don't put too much weight into all that kind of stuff. I really don't. And I don't blame you for doing it. But you know, a lot of it feels like Operation Trust, which you should definitely worth a Google. Thanks for the call, Tommy. Appreciate you, man. Anything you want to talk about? 615-737-9986. Somebody, one of our callers, was it who? Robin in Murfreesboro said, "Have you ever had a pro-life Democrat?" And A couple people have been texting in. JFK was a Democrat that was pro-life. Although you Google it, and that wasn't really a talking point back then. Pro-life, pro-choice. So that might be why it didn't come up. 615-737-9986. 0324 said, yeah, you're getting some juicy drama today. We are. We're having fun on the Chris Hand Show at 615-737-9986. You know, I don't want to slow walk into World War III. I think the more money that we give to Ukraine, the closer that we get to that. Breitbart's reporting that the U.S.-funded war in Ukraine cost more in one day than Biden is sending to Maui. More in one day than Biden is sending to Maui. Crazy. We're spending approximately $100 million a day in the war against Russia and Ukraine. You know, that's a sum that exceeds more than the $95 million that President Joe Biden sent to Maui after the island caught on fire. Crazy. Mac.
It's working.
It's working. Mac has been on the phone. Just working the phone lines. Everybody send kudos to Mac. Phone screening is not an easy job on the Chris Hand Show, I assure you. Does Margaret have a comment on Ukraine?
Yeah.
All right, Margaret, you're on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Margaret?
Listen, I've been listening to this program for 30 minutes, and I agree with most of the people calling about the fact that we are sending so much money to protect Ukraine, and we're not even enforcing our own laws to protect our southern border. And I am a nurse who has been in nursing since I was 18. I'm 80 now, and I want to protect our freedom to choose our doctors and our treatments by not giving the World Health Organization our digital ID. There's talk by the bureaucrats of doing that. And if they do that, it is an insult to our freedom in health care.
Yeah,
And
I appreciate the call, Margaret. It's similar to the point that you made for us yesterday, and I agree. I'm against digital ID. Thank you so much for calling in. And I'm against war. I'm against war in general. I think the neocon party of Republicans of old, of yesteryear, if you will, that's got to go. The Republican Party can no longer be the party of warmongers. The Republican Party can no longer be the party of open wallets and allowing our borders to be wide open. You know, defending everybody else's border, but letting our border be wide open. Like, we need to get back to America first. People will argue with me. People will say that, you know, Trump is unelectable, that we got to go DeSantis. I don't think Trump is unelectable. I think that Trump could very well win this next election. And, you know, even Donna Brazile yesterday said you have to be careful with this president because it's a movement. What we're seeing with Donald Trump is an absolute movement. In case you missed it, this was Donna Brazile over the weekend.
But I have to say something because, George, I'm old enough to say this. I've seen two movements outside of the social justice movements in my life on the political side. One was the Reagan movement. Reagan had a hold on his base, the country at large. They saw him as someone who was willing to stand up for American values, whatever that might have meant. Now, I thought it was reactionary. The other movement I saw was Barack Obama, hope and change. That galvanized the American people. I've never seen anything like this with Donald Trump. I mean, what doesn't kill you make you stronger? I mean, being indicted, that's making him stronger. Raising $10 million using an ugly mugshot to raise money. This is a movement. And anyone who thinks that you can apply the old political rules to trying to defeat this candidate based on he's scary, he's ugly, whatever you might want to call him, this is a movement, and we have to respect the fact that it's a movement.
You do have to respect the fact that it's a movement. The only thing that I disagree with Donna Brazile there is that it's an ugly mugshot. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, the mugshot is framed and behind me. I think it's a very handsome mugshot. Mac, would you agree? It's very handsome.
It's great. Very dapper.
Very sharp mugshot. That's why we framed it. Dan said to me, he said to me this morning on our crossover, he said, how long are we gonna keep the mugshot up? I said, at least a week, and then we'll find somewhere to hang it on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to stay in that room. It's got to stay there. Yeah.
It's going to stay in the room.
Yes.
But it won't be in the camera shot probably after this week. but it's staying here for
for sure.
for at least the next couple days. We want to let you guys know that it's here. So if you're watching on Super Talk TV, Donna Brazil says it's an ugly mugshot. I say it's the very best mugshot. 11:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to say thank you for all your calls. Whoa, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, like me, don't like me, the fact that we can have a conversation is why we're here, and that's the part I love. I don't want the show to be an echo chamber. I don't want the show to be just me yelling and screaming at the clouds and screaming at the sky. I want to have the conversation with you. So thank you to everybody calling, whether, again, you agreed or disagreed. That's what it's about. 615-737-9986 is the number to text in or call. Find me offline on Twitter, Instagram, Truth Social. The handle is @ChrisHand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. 11:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's going on? It's Chris Hand. Joined by the, what do they call you? The nosy redhead? Is that the thing? Is that what people say?
The nosy girl.
The nosy girl.
The nosy redhead. Either works.
The dollar store Reba.
Dollar store Reba, exactly.
I come running at all three. What? You have news? You have gossip? What? Tell me more. What's in the, there's a movie, Steel Magnolias, where one of the characters says, you know something about, whoever, come sit by me.
Hey, Mac,
if you
Mac.
have nothing good to say, come sit by me. That's it.
Have you seen Steel Magnolias?
I'm not.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Well, because you're guys. You're guys. I am a girl.
Is that why?
Yes. Now, if you want to make your ladies happy, say, baby, I want to watch Steel Magnolias with you tonight.
Nope.
Gosh.
No, if listen, I'll talk my wife into watching SummerSlam from 1988 before I try and talk her into Steel Magnolias.
I'm laughing. I don't know what that movie is. Was it a wrestling movie?
It's a pay-per-view.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
SummerSlam. Is it like WWE?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
My son, he sees the WWE logo, the 4-year-old, and he
Yeah.
goes, oh, look, it's WWTN. All the time. It's adorable.
That is very cute. Very cute.
Yes. All right, what do you got coming up on the show today? Anything fun and exciting?
Well, it's going to be informative, I think. I'm jam-packed full of guests. I have Marsha Blackburn coming on, Senator Marsha Blackburn. Congressman Mark Green will be on as well. And then mayoral candidate Alice Rowley is going to stop on by and tell us, please vote for me. Please vote for me. We're in the early voting stage of the next round of the election. So
all right,
that's
very
why she's
exciting.
coming by today.
All right, hang out for us. It's Pamela Fur in next. Thank you for being a part of the Chris Hand Show. We'll be back tomorrow, me, Matt, Ken, and you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.